Today's lesson is on how do we add and subtract rational numbers. Simplify the expression negative 2.5 plus negative 5 and 6 over 10. I need to first turn them into the same format. So negative 2.5 I'm going to keep as a decimal. I'm going to turn negative 5 and 6 over 10 into a decimal and make it negative 5.6. I'm going to add up my two numbers. Since they are both negative, I can just add them up and make my answer negative. So I have negative 2.5 plus negative 5.6. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Plus 5 is 8. Keep the negative. So I get my answer as negative 8.1. Two divers are swimming at different depths below sea level. One diver is at negative 25.5 feet. The other diver is at negative 40.75 feet. How much farther below sea level is the diver who is farthest below sea level? Take a minute to copy down the question. I want to know how much farther below sea level is the diver who is farthest below sea level. So I need to find their difference in sea level. So I have negative 40.75 minus negative 25.5. I'm just putting the parentheses here to group the negatives together. My double negatives turn it into a positive. So I have negative 40.75 plus 25.5. I can use my calculator to do this addition. Negative 40.75 plus 25.5 is negative 15.25. Since I am looking for their difference in distance, it's going to be a positive number, so I'm going to take the absolute value of negative 15.25. The absolute value is 15.25 feet, and that is my final answer. A dolphin is at the surface of the water and then descends to a depth of 4.5 feet. Then the dolphin swims down another 2 3/4 feet. What is the location of the dolphin relative to the surface of the water? Take a minute to copy down the question. If the dolphin descends 4.5 feet, it is going to be a negative 4.5. It then swims down another, so we're going to add on more negative 2 3/4 feet. There's two ways we could add these two numbers. We could turn them both into decimals, or we could keep them as fractions. I'm going to keep them both as fractions as practice. To add fractions, we have to turn our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So I do 4 times 2 gives me 8, plus 1 gives me 9. And I keep my denominator of 2. And I'm going to keep it as negative, so it's negative 9 over 2. Plus, we're going to keep it as a negative. My denominator is going to stay as a 4. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. I need to have a common denominator when I'm adding fractions. My common denominator from 2 and 4 is 4. So I'm going to turn both fractions into have a denominator of 4. My second fraction already has a denominator of 4, so I can keep that as negative 11 over 4. If I want to turn my second fraction, my first fraction, to have a denominator of 4, I need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2. 9 times 2 gives me 18. 2 times 2 gives me 4. I now have a common denominator, so I can add my fractions. My denominator stays as 4. Negative 18 plus negative 11 would give me a negative 29. So negative 29 over 4 feet. As practice, if I want to turn this into a mixed number, 29 divided by 4 can go in 7 times. 4 times 7 is 28, so I have a remainder of 1. So it's negative 7 and 1/4 feet below the surface of the water.